Hey chess people, I just got back from Auckland where I won the Merv Morrison Memorial. This is my last round game against Paul Garbett. I was in a must-win situation because he was on 5 points. I was on 4.5. I had prepared for 40 minutes with the black pieces, only to discover that I'm getting 2 whites in a row, which I was pretty happy about. And then I prepared for about 10 minutes on the way to the tournament in the car on my phone that was going flat. So this is the game. I had to consider playing bishop b5, which is the Rosalimo, but I thought that would suit his style, so we went into this, and I played the Richter Rosa. So we have Fury, and bishop e7 is kind of a sideline. I mean, there's still a lot of Fury on it, but I feel like the main line is pretty okay for black as well. Anyway, so knight f3, all Fury, and f5 or king b1. They're both transposing to each other. Queen b6, and king b1 is correct. g3 is a bad move order because black can gain a tempo on my knight on f3 in the sample line with rook c8, king b1, knight e5, takes. The castles, rook h1, rook hf1, and black's king is very exposed, and the computer gives us as objectively equal, but I prefer black because of the 2 bishops and a big chunky center. And the king can always go to h8 because white doesn't have a dark squared bishop. Instead of rook c8, you can go b4 in this position. And then queen f2, knight e1, knight d3 idea. And this is also equal. But the problem is, I want to play g3 because I want to pressure the e6 pawn with my bishop on h3 and try to provoke black to push his e pawn, which would weaken the d5 square. The correct way to do that is king b1. However, g3, Paul didn't capitalize my poor choice of move order and castled. And now we're kind of back into Fury now, main line. So takes, and we're back into the main line. Bishop c8, he played this relatively quickly, which suggests to me that he knew what he was doing. This is still Fury. I play queen h6. Apparently the main line, or the best move I think, is queen e1. There's a really nice game by Duda from the first round of the World Cup. You should check that out. But queen h6, queen c5, and now rook f1 gives me rook hf1 gives me a slight advantage. I went knight e2. It makes sense because I want to play knight f4 and hit this pawn. d5, the only move I think to equalize. That takes. He's hitting my knight. And I was considering things like knight f4, and if queen f3, I can go bishop g2 and take on c6. But I just kept it simple, played bishop g2, and now he made his first mistake. When I say mistake, it's probably still okay for black objectively, but just very difficult to play. Queen d6, according to the engine, is the happy move for black. But queen c4, I mean, it makes sense. He wants to hit my knight. And if I play the wrong move, he has knight b4 ideas hitting c2 and a2. So knight c3, rook d8, and knight d2, hitting the queen. If the queen moves, then my knight can go to either b3 or e4 and have a very nice position. So he played the only move, I think, which is bishop f8. And I can't win a piece with knight c4, bishop h6, bishop c6, because then he takes on c4. I can't go queen takes f8 because he takes on d2 and he's sitting my bishop on g2 and threatening b4. And the queen's lined up on c2 and the rook's on d2. So I think queen e3 is the only decent move. It's actually a good move because he has to play queen d4. Then after queen f3, he only has, I think he has 2 moves here that equalize, but queen takes d2 is one, and he has to play this line. The idea of queen e3 is to control the b6 square. a3 gets out of back rank checkmate, and this equalizes for black. Now bishop b7, we swap, and we end up in an endgame where black has the bishop and I have the knight, but my knight isn't that much better, so it's actually equal. It's very hard to play at a human level. I mean, practically, black has great practical problems here. So bishop b7 was played, and this is probably the losing move. Knight b3, queen e5, queen f2, so I'm threatening to take on c6 and go queen b6 check, and then take the rook on d8. Queen c7, and rook e1. So his last chance is now b4, but then I just go knight a4 and jump into c5, a very nice position. f5 was played, takes, and now I'm winning. So I sort of went on autopilot now. I mean, rook f6 is probably the best move, but I went back and I just kept things simple. Takes, just swap, pawn up, and black structure's ruined. So after knight e5, I should play a3 because it solves my back rank problem and threatens this knight. And if he goes knight c6, I take. Then I have c3, knight back, and this is a very nice position. It's king c2. I'm a pawn up. He has 3 isolated pawns. I've got 2 pawn islands. I'm clearly winning. But I played b3, which is also okay. He could have been a bit more tenacious with knight c6. Knight f3 check. Knight d3, so I'm hitting this pawn. And then rook e5 check, which is a nice move, because if he takes on b4, king b2, and he can't stop a3 checkmate, he can only delay it. It's king d4, and I'm thinking now how to trap this knight in h2. It doesn't really have moves. If knight g4, I have rook f4 check, which is why my initial idea was to take on a6 in this position, because if rook a6, I have rook g4 and I win easily. And then I saw ghosts. Turns out it's the best move. Knight d5, rook f7, hitting the pawn, threatening knight f4 check. It's rook h6 and king b2, just keeping things very simple. I'm getting ready to push my pawns, getting off the back rank. It may not be necessary to activate the king, but it's just ultra safe. My opponent's low on time, so I don't need to play the perfect move. I just need to keep things simple and practical. c4, check, check, push. So rook h2 is lining up my king, just king a3, keeping it simple. And then I think after c6, he resigned in this position. So pretty nice game, and there was at no point in the game where I was actually worse. It was a very clean game. I'm pretty happy about this one. And I think my next tournament is in Bundaberg, so stay tuned.